Hello, Misfit entrepreneurs. This is Dave Lukas, and welcome to another episode of the Misfit Entrepreneur, where it is our job to help you unleash your inner misfit and break through to higher levels of success, wealth, and fulfillment by bringing you the best insight and information from the world's top entrepreneurs, with a specific focus on their misfit side, the specific traits, habits, and secrets that have allowed them to thrive and succeed. As a reminder, if you're new to watching us on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button below. Give this video a like and comment as well. We do our best to respond to all comments as timely as possible. This week's Misfit Entrepreneur is Christy Whitman. Christy is a New York Times bestselling author, transformational leader, and CEO and founder of Quantum Success Coaching Academy, a 12-month law of attraction coaching certification program. Christy has helped thousands of people worldwide to achieve their goals through her empowerment seminars, her speaking, coaching sessions, and all of her products. She reaches over 125,000 people every single month with her messages, and her work's been promoted and featured really alongside everybody from Wayne Dyer to Brian Tracy. Her latest book, called The Desire Factor, is a book on guiding how to harness the force of desire and turn your dreams into reality. You know, I've talked many times about the role that desire plays in success, and I really couldn't think of a better person to come on and help you learn to unleash this power in your life and your entrepreneur journey. So, Christy, are you ready to unleash your inner misfit?
Oh, heck yeah. So happy to be here. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you, Dave.
Great to see you too. It's a pleasure to have you on. And as we do with every guest and begin the episode, is you have a unique story. So, take 5 minutes or so and just tell us, how'd you get to where you're at?
It is a long story. I mean, I was raised in Scottsdale, Arizona, and, pretty upper middle class. And I just followed the guidance of what I was supposed to do to make myself happy. That checklist: go to college, get your own career, get married, have kids, whatever the list was. And I found myself graduated from college. I had moved to Chicago. I was taking Chicago by storm. I was super successful. I went from a little sales rep at a liquor distributing company to a Midwest rep for one of the top wine companies. So, in a very short period of time. So I had money, I had independence, but I also wasn't fulfilled. And that for me was like, wait a minute, I'm doing all this stuff, but where's the fulfillment at the end of the day? Because I thought that if I do all these things, then I'll be fulfilled. And that's not working. So if it's not this, what is it? And that question, that hunger, led me to move to California. And I met a woman who was actually cutting my hair, and she was a hairdresser, and she, was just bubbly and had a different way about her. And it was intriguing. And I didn't have the language for it, but I said, I just got to ask you, being as direct as I am. I'm like, Janine, what do you do? And she said, I meditate. Now, Dave, I had never met anybody ever that meditated. I didn't even, this is like in the 90s, right? This wasn't like the internet right now. I mean, this is pre-internet. And so anybody, like a frame of mind, when you have a picture of someone, it was like, oh, meditate. Oh, some guy sitting on top of a mountain in yogi with a long beard. And, that was the image. And my mind just got twisted, because here she was like this hip chick from San Ramon, married, had a dog, and super cool and very bubbly. And my mind just went, what? Wait, meditate? And she said, yeah, I work with energy and this form of meditation. And she said, it's totally transformed my life. And I was like, I'm going to need your meditation teacher's number. So that took me on a journey. I went to her house, and again, so not my thing. Very new agey. I walk up and there's clinky clanky music and, statues of angels, very woo woo. I mean, there was no couch. Yeah. She asked me to sit on the floor on a cushion, and this big old fat cat Steve came coming in, purring up again. It was just, and then incense and the whole candles and the whole thing. And I was like, where's the crystal ball?
You had to be like a deer in the headlights.
Totally.
Coming from the hard charging sales rep lifestyle to walk into that, you had to just be like so out of place feeling at that point.
Absolutely. But in the most amazing way. It was like, what is this? Right. And so I sit down and she doesn't say, here's where it got uncomfortable. She doesn't say a word to me. She just stares at me. And she stares like deep into my soul, like nobody has ever stared at me before and looked at me and pierced me. It was like I felt a piercing and I was like, what is happening? And then she sat back and she said, you create your own reality. And something in me went, yes, of course. Like duh. It was like, it was just this, yeah. But the part of me that didn't know that was like, what? Wait, what? And then went, how do I create my own reality? And so that's what I said to Melanie, this meditation teacher. I said, well, how? And she said, well, by your thoughts. You're either attracting things to you or repelling things from you based on how you think. And that was another moment, because what do you mean the way I think? My thoughts are me. I'm my thoughts. That moment of, wait a minute, I'm not my thoughts. So she could see I was just lost. And she goes, here's your homework. Started very basic with me. I want you to go home and pay attention to any random thought. And when you do that, you don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything. Just pay attention to it. So it was amazing. No matter what I was accomplishing, no matter what I was achieving, it wasn't enough. Because it was like a compare to, well, you've got this. And I have to be mindful of that, in the coaching space. I've been a coach for over 2 decades. I've created a multi-million-dollar coaching business. And, I can still look at somebody else that's a friend or colleague, like a Jack Canfield, right? Or a Mary Morrissey, and go, oh my God, like they've 3 times what I did. Oh, so they're also have had more training and years and all that. But it's like, that comparison of, right, I'm still not going to be enough. And that's where my shifting came in, is my abundance and really understanding that there's a whole mentality that each one of us have. And I was mired in it. I actually had master teachers of lack and limitation. My mom and my dad's, they are the master teachers. If there's some way to look at something as wrong, bad, or should be different, they're going to find it for you. And so for me to start shifting, wait a minute, this makes sense, and kind of get it into my conscious mind that there's a perspective or a way of thinking about life or relating with life or things in life from a negative perspective, which is never enough. It's lack filled and very limiting. Right. Or there's a universal law, because I was becoming a student at that time, right? There's universal laws like the law of sufficiency and abundance, that if one thing exists as negative, the same is also true that it also exists as a positive vibration or a positive choice or experience.
Right.
And so by shifting and becoming aware of my thought, I could either choose this word or this thought, that's negative, which will continue a negative momentum, or I can pause, I can stop and deliberately choose a better feeling thought. I could choose something that feels more empowering. Just even our words, So that became my own personal work. And then books started downloading through me. People started asking me to coach them. I mean, it's just, there's so much in the journey. It goes beyond 5 minutes, but that really how it started for me. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Most people, unfortunately, never learn this, right? And I've got my own thoughts around it and everything, but really, in the end, BETAR. Your beliefs lead to your emotions lead to your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your actions lead to your results, right? So where do our beliefs come
100%.
from? And most people have nenever stopped and asked that question before. And most people don't realize that they're really a product of the programming they've had ever since they came out of the womb. Like, it's not like, if somebody's in a dead-end job making $35K, it's not like you came out of the womb and beautiful baby, too bad I'll never make more than $35K. It doesn't work like that. The reality is we're taught these things, but we don't realize that our subconscious mind is the most powerful part of our mind. And it's what drives us without us even knowing it. And it is the automatic things that we do and the responses we have to all the different things in our life come from that. And usually if somebody's not getting where they want or doesn't have what they want or, is lost in that way, it's because that subconscious been programmed. It's driving them it's not driving them in the way that they should be. They're not living from true choice, as you say, because they don't know to recognize those responses to those things in their lives that are debilitating to their success, their potential and everything. Right. And so,
yes. And
that's the crux of it.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that too, it's like with the choice that you have, it's like when you realize that, when you have an awareness of, I feel bad, I'm at least aware of that, then I can do something about it. And that's where having an understanding of what's happening and then having knowledge of then how to shift it and knowing how to shift it, that's everything. I mean, that's just pure freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into that. So, let's start because I think the underpinning of this is desire, and I want to talk about that more in a second. So before we do get into all of that, define desire for us. What does it mean? What does desire mean as you see it?
Desire is something that we get an idea. There's an opening, something drops in. We either get the idea, someone says something, and then we go, it's like there's yes, I could eat, even just for a meal, right? I'm kind of getting hungry and it's like, I want to eat. Yeah, me too. And then everybody gets up. That just happened in my family an hour ago. It's like, I have 3 boys that are teenagers plus a, man. So they're like, yeah, let's all eat. So that desire moves something, right? Everything gets created from desire. When we have a desire for something and let's just say I had the desire to eat because my body was hungry and I shut it down for whatever reason. No, it's not time to eat, or no, I need to watch what I'm eating, or, whatever excuse or belief that we have that's limiting, or that, and we're talking about just basic food stuff. But what if, like you're saying, I have this desire and I have this idea to start my own business, but that part that, and you were saying about beliefs. A belief is a thought over and over and over again until there becomes evidence of it. And then we look at it and go, see, it's true. And then it gets solidified as a belief. But before it was ever a thought, there was energy underneath it, either positive or negative. There was, say, for example, there was worry or fear or doubt. And that's the biggest thing, is that most people, and I found this out early on. I've been coaching for over 2 decades, and I've been certifying coaches on law of attraction since 2008 through the Quantum Success Coaching Academy. And every single time when you start to ask someone, what do you want? They naturally go, well, I don't want to lose the money, and I don't want to take that risk, and I don't want to gain weight, or I don't want to lose my marriage, or I don't want to right? I don't want to live alone. I don't want to. We're so accustomed to looking at what we do not want, which creates more resistance, which creates a projection of fear and the whole, like you were saying, right?
That also happens because most people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want. So the only place they can go to is what they don't want, because they know what that is, but they don't know what they really want,
So here's a trick. Here's a trick. Here's a trick for anybody that's like, yeah, that's true, Dave. I don't know what I want, but I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want, right? Here's the thing that absolutely changed my life and my existence is that I don't want that. Okay, then what do I want? Like literally, what is the opposite of that? And just pull yourself out of it and think, well, I don't want to struggle. And then it makes the mind think, what is the polar opposite of struggle? Ease. Ooh, that'd be nice. What would ease, right? Because you were asking what's desire. I like that. I'm going to just lean into that. That feels good. That expands us. Because ultimately, when desire comes from a place of moving us forward, it feels good. But if we have I want this thing so I can prove to them, or there's still, you're going to do stuff. You're going to take action. It's going to get you some success, but not like the aligned success of I'm doing it because I want to add light, support, create wealth, whatever the positive, I want to change the world. I want to create this thing that's going to make people's lives better. When you're coming from a true place of it's not just about me, it's about me, the clients, everybody win-win, that's full alignment. And then taking that alignment, taking momentum, taking action from that place really depends on the inner game of the words that we choose, right? Just even saying can't or should or I miss or I'll try. These are words that are so powerless that they're based in lack. And then we're now focused back on what we don't want. Well, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to experience that. I don't want to keep being in lack. Okay, pause. What do you want? I don't know.
Right.
What's the opposite of lack? Abundance. Okay, I want abundance. All right. Next question. Why? Why do you want abundance? Because then I could be free or I could be, powerful or whatever the reason is. I want abundance so I can be. And then ultimately is what is that feeling that you want to be, that beingness? Because it's so important to understand. And this is another thing that just absolutely changed my life. I was programmed that if you want to feel something, go outside and do stuff out here. Try to make somebody else feel, try to go get this and do that and bust your butt to work hard, push, struggle. And then you'll feel. And I'm glad I learned at a young age and I still continue to learn it today. Still push my head up against that wall sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, I have access to that joy or that wealth or that prosperity or that success now. And then I also move forward with it.
You have to become who you want to be on the inside before it'll come on the outside. You mentioned your inner game. Well, you have to develop your inner game up so that it shows in your outer game, right? A great example of that is I have a whiteboard over here in my office, right? And years ago when I figured this out, like what's one of the ways that we control our inner game that shows in our outer game every day, and that's our attitude, right? So the way we approach each day. And so I did this, like it seemed like a stupid thing at the time, but like I just walked in one day and I wrote which type of attitude will I choose to have today? Great, fair, or poor? And I had to circle it. And so like every day ever since, it's like over a decade, I walk in my office every day and I circle which type of attitude I'm going to have. Guess what? I've never circled fair or poor. And so, so every single day, right? Building businesses, doing all the things, not everything goes well. Not everything goes perfect. There's always a problem. There's always something. And so when I feel myself starting to get into that negative mode, I've got that right there that I look at and I'm like, I circled, I'm going to have a great attitude today. All right. So how do we turn this around? What's in my control? Like that, and that sort of thing. It's like a little trigger, right? Because I think you'll agree with this. No matter how good you are at understanding this, no matter how good you are at understanding how your subconscious mind is programmed and how you can reprogram it and do all the things, right? It's a constant thing that you're going to have to do your entire life, and you're never going to be perfect at it. And you need things to shock you out of it because you will have the times where you let it takes over control. So
beautifully said, Dave. Beautifully said, because I think that's part of the expectation too, is that, and I certainly had it too when I first started. It's like, okay, I get this stuff, so I'm supposed to be perfecting it. But
so now I'm successful, right? No, it doesn't work like that. You're 50% of the way there.
And I'll never, and it's like, okay, we think that I'm successful and there'll never be a bump, there'll never be contrast, there'll never be an obstacle. And that's just not true. Because what happens is when you have, going back to desire, when you have a desire for something, it could be grow business, sell business, open up another business. I just opened up a clothing store with my friend who's a Pilates instructor. And it's like, now I'm doing that too. So it's fun being an entrepreneur because you can lean in and create things and it's just let your imagination run wild, right? But also at the same time, ground it in profit, loss, all of those business things.
Right.
But the bottom line is it's the energy that you bring into that particular business. And when you're thinking that, okay, I am going to, like you said, I'm choosing this as my attitude. And even though this might be a bump, or I might need to look at something or take a step back or whatever it may be, I need to manage me And now's not a time to take the action. It's a time to focus on, what do I want? Why do I want it? How do I want to feel? Right? Working on the inside out so that then you're aligned and then you can take that momentum.
All right. So Christy, I don't think I'm going to have time to get through all the different areas around this today. I want to like real quick, like Napoleon Hill's book. Like the one thing I want to state, I think I'd love to hear you take a second on this, is that like this is like actually been around and figured out ever since the beginning of like mankind. Like this goes back to biblical times. Like there's things in it, like what you gaze upon, you shall become. Like all of this stuff is actually in, it's been figured out, but like for some reason as human beings, we like keep like missing it, because like even Napoleon Hill like said in Think and Grow Rich, throughout this book is the secret to achieving and having everything you want. Well, the secret is desire, right? And desire is that fuel for really the action and the change, right? And the awareness that you need to find so that you can become what you want to be. So in that context, talk a little bit about how this has been, I guess, said throughout time in ways that it's been said, maybe some examples, but also I know you have like 7 universal principles that you talk about around desire, right? So let's kind of combine those two together and talk a little bit more about it.
Okay, perfect. So there, even Buddha, right? And you look in any major religion, and I love that you said that. Jesus Christ used to say things like, the faith of a mustard seed. I mean, just, it's where you put your focus, that was what's going to happen. He spoke of those kind of things. Buddha, in fact, would talk about, what a man thinketh he become, right? Mm-hmm. And you're talking about Napoleon Hill as well. The key is that we could hear it, right? But it's the application of it. And understanding, like I just had a client the other day go, oh my gosh, I've been learning from this person and this person. I've been doing this work. I've hired all the coaches and now I'm finally getting it, which means like I'm applying it. I'm embodying it. So there's like that 3 phases of shift or change or consciousness where you have to be aware of it. And once you have that awareness of it, like, okay, I get the concept that everything is energy. Right? I get the concept that I create my own reality. Okay. But now I want to understand that. And I do that by applying, by shifting my thought and seeing something else pop up, by changing my words and seeing how I feel differently, by being real with how I feel about my emotions and letting myself release that which doesn't serve me anymore and focus on, having a better attitude, or for that matter. But when you see that evidence, it's like you're now doing it. You're embodying it, and you have then the tools and the knowledge to be able to do it whenever. So in the future, you don't have to fret because you know that something's happening. I can master my own mind. I can, have emotional intelligence and master my own emotions, master my own attitude. I've got my own consciousness under control. Everything else can spiral around because that's all we really have control over anyway.
Right. And that's, and again, I forget the comment because so many people worry, and worry is like paying interest on a debt that you don't owe. It's like it's a quote like that or something. And it's so true because most people focus on the things they can't control rather than the things they can. So with that as a backdrop, what are those 7 universal principles? Take us through them real quick.
So so they're actually steps. There are 7 universal laws that I talk about, and the steps inside of the desire factor encompass all of it because it's universal. But the first one, and it's like a padlock. It's not like try this step, then go to that one. They're in a row. And what it really is how manifestation sets up and what we can do in that part of it. So first part is alignment. And we've been talking about that, right? It's like, what are you focusing on? The second one is your focus, right? So you align with what I want. I know what I want. I know why. I know how I want to feel. Right? Okay. So then focusing on it. What would it feel like to have that? What would a vision of that look like? So the focus becomes, that's where you start, people have lots of tools, vision boards and mind movies and all these other things, right? These are focal points, things to help you focus. So then once your mind, because it's not stupid, it's intelligent, it's supposed to not just look at fairy tales and rainbows and unicorns. It's supposed to come back into reality and warn you about things that could happen in the future. That's what it's supposed to do. It will then let you know, hey, this thing that you're dreaming about isn't actually here yet. And that's a potential moment of where we could go, yeah, you're right. It all falls apart there. I'm just daydreaming. Who am I to, right? Or we can go, no, not yet. But my mind and visualizing it, I'm going to joyfully expect it. Joyful expectancy, looking at the future, like just having this solid vision of that is going to happen and then feeling the joy of it now, or the freedom or the whatever, the provision now. Like that, connecting to a vision that's in the future that absolutely without a question, the faith of a mustard seed, like that energy, that joyful expectancy then brings in to the next, like you're joyfully then you naturally feel like I already have it. Like it's not separate from me, right? It's already with me. So that's the fourth principle. So you got alignment is number 1. Number 2 is focus. Number 3 is joyful expectancy. Number 4 is the feeling. That's where you're a vibrational match to what you want. Law of attraction, draw things to you. Yes, you have to take action. Please don't kid yourselves. Those of you that don't think, but you have to. We are physical beings in this physical world, and we're the ones that have to type the email, make the phone call, stand on the stage, write the book, hammer the nail, whatever it is. So when we are in that place of then having, then the next phase is loving. Like, I just love this. I love the feeling of being free. I love the feeling of being wealthy. I love the feeling of being success. It's like turning up the intensity, because love is an intensifier. It's the highest vibration in the universe. Not conditional love, like the true, like, I love this. Like, cause that's even where passion, desire, all those good emotions come through. At that point, anything that is a negative thought, a negative, perspective that might have popped up, or a negative belief, like, who do you think you are? That's where we just go, I am finding out, and I'm a positive person. I chose today, and this is who I am. I chose today to have a positive attitude. That's who I am, right? That managing of the mind, being bigger than the mind in that moment, or the emotions, could be either one. And that's where, like, we have split energy, just surrendering, choosing, right? And that's where you then take action. Yeah. Action is an important, it's an absolute necessary thing for us to do. Sometimes things
like I said, actions lead to results, right? You can't have results without taking the action. So absolutely. All of that makes perfect sense, the way that you've laid that out. Somebody hears that, right? Somebody's heard that now. They've heard us have this conversation to this point. What's, I guess, one action somebody listening can take literally today to tap into desire in their lives, right? To help fuel them, right? What's and then a habit they can do every day to start fostering this?
Well, I would literally wake up in the morning. When you wake up in the morning and you have that moment of awareness that, oh, I'm awake, right? Or the alarm's gone off, or something wakes you up, but you are literally in your bed, you are awake. Take that moment of just saying thank you. Like just a quick moment of just recognizing, thank you. I get a whole new day. Like you said, you're going to choose an attitude today. So what are you going to choose? But it's this moment of like, I'm alive. Most of us just go, oh, gotta go, and rush in our day, and oh crap, I don't have enough time, or I don't do that, it starts with the lack right away. Oh, I didn't get enough sleep, or I didn't get enough sleep. So just waking up and just starting with thank you. And then ask, it's like what you're saying, what energy, what vibration, what state of being do I want to be in today? And imagine that you're just literally like being filled up with joy bubbles, or, passion or purpose or freedom. But it's like the energy you're tapping in, like we charge our phone, right? It's like you're charging yourself to be in that, like, just shower head of just joy, and you choose it. You get in that stance, you get in that state, and then you put your 2 feet on and go. If you do that every morning, just even do that a couple days a week, it's going to change your life.
Yeah. I think, and and also it sets your tone for your day if you start your day like that. And there's all kinds of different things. There's gratitude. There's different things that people do. And like, I've always loved like the 5-minute journal, and there's different like versions of that help people with this and stuff. But I guess with that being said, okay, so that's something that's an action you can do. That's very easy to understand. People can start doing it today. What are critical mistakes that maybe people make that ultimately prevent them from getting what they desire?
Well, not paying attention to, avoiding or ignoring those negative thoughts, right? Again, I've been doing this work for years. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had a thought. What was the thought? I can't think of, because it's gone now. Oh, it was a thought of, what is wrong with you? And I was like, who's in my head? Like, it's like, who said that? And I just, that moment of, I could have went on, and I've had moments like that. Like, I remember years ago sitting there in my house. I've got my kids that are there. I give a coach. I could do my work. I've literally created my dream husband and business and everything I'm doing. And I'm sitting there having a fantastic lunch. And I hear a voice in my head say, life is so hard. And I'm like, really? It was almost laughable. Like, no, life is easy. Life is what I make it. Life is a joy. And in that moment of shifting that changes everything. It changes the vibration. Or I could just, like last night, I could have, what the heck is wrong with you? I could have went, I don't know. And went back to sleep.
Have you ever had,
and now that's still right.
Well, yeah. Have you ever gone through the imposter syndrome subconscious conversation?
Oh, yes. Oh yeah. Who the hell are you to do this interview? Who the hell are you to, write a book? Oh, I've gone through.
I think that one hits people
absolutely.
the most. And that's also what keeps people from moving forward the most. Like, I don't have enough experience, or I'm not the person to be able to do this, or, that one I think derails more people's dreams than any other.
Yeah. This, I was telling you, I just opened up a store. It was a store that we took over, my girlfriend and I, and she came up to me. She's like, I want to buy this. It's great because it works with Pilates, it's fitwear and all this kind of stuff. And she said, but I don't know anything about buying, and I was like, well, I do. As long as I don't have to, I can go in and merchandise. I don't want to have to work it, and I don't want to have to deal with the buildings and all that kind of stuff. If that we make a deal, and she's like, done. So it was like, I know what I can do. She knows what she can do. And it was profitable the first month, so staying in our own lane and understand, in business is really important. That's the thing is that I learned right away. It's like the things I don't enjoy doing are usually not the things I'm good at doing, and somebody else is really good at doing, and they can do in a quarter of the time that I would do. Right. And that doesn't drain me because bookkeeping, it's essential. I hate to do that. Right. And it drains me for the things that I do enjoy. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, that lesson, right. That's a great lesson for entrepreneurs in general, right there, of, staying in your lane, figuring out what you're really good at and want to do, and not, partnering or figuring out how to augment that with those that have the skill set that want to do the other things. I think that's a critical thing for growth and ultimately scaling a business. To that point, what are maybe a couple other of the best lessons you've learned from your own entrepreneur journey?
That when someone else tells me to do something because I should, or it's the newest thing or the latest, greatest, or, that kind of thing, it's almost like, you should do a podcast, right? If I do a podcast, it just doesn't do anything. But if I get the download to do a podcast, right, then there's something that's very different fueling me. It's like I bought into it. It's that desire that, ooh, I like that. Ooh, and then you lean into it and keep leaning in. And then the flow, like this store, right? It was like, oh, I like that. I would do that. I don't want to do that. And now, right. So that's where that flow, it's getting into that flow, understanding where the resistance is and working with and letting go of the resistance so you can get back into the flow. That what I would say is absolutely, whenever I've pounded up against a wall or hit my head up against it, it's like, I just hurt myself and I don't get anywhere. So it's better just to get back in the flow.
That's a great point too.
I have a new book. I have a new book. Yeah, I have a new book coming out next year called The Flow Factor. So that,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it obviously desire, it makes sense how it's almost like a two-part series, right? With the two books.
Yeah.
What would be, maybe a great piece of advice that you have, or a key piece of advice for someone that's just starting their entrepreneur journey with all the knowledge you have and everything?
I would say that honestly, watch your words. It sounds so like, what do you mean watch your words? Everything is we create from our consciousness, and I'll go big spectrum and then I'll go very basic. Think about your business as an extension of you, and your business will hold the energy that you hold. So if you are saying it can't be done, or I can't do it, or I should do something else, or I'll try, these words, you could actually go to watchyourwords.com. I did a whole video series on the words and phrases that absolutely need to be taken out of our vocabulary, especially as entrepreneurs, because we're creating our business. We're not just doing something and getting a paycheck. It's an extension of us. And so that energy that we hold will then also be in our business. So when we shift our language from I can't to what do I choose instead, or I'll try, from I try, or I will, from should, or what would I like to, what would I prefer? You'll
Right.
see, because in the videos it says what not to say, why, and what to shift it instead. That's where I would start, because everything starts with the word. I mean, in the beginning, you were asking about earlier, in the Bible, in the beginning, there was the word. Word creates. Words are, words start sentences, thoughts thought over and over and over again, come a belief until we see evidence of it and go, wow, look at that. I was right. And then it becomes a belief. It becomes a picture, a solidification. We take actions or don't based on those perceptions. And then, like you were saying, we either get the results we want or don't.
Is there anything else around, this entire topic of the subconscious and desire and our conditioning and all of that we haven't covered that you feel is important for the audience to know?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and the thing that really I'm glad I knew going into starting my entrepreneurial journey, because where I ended up, I was in corporate America. I was a sales training manager for a biotech company, and had a corner office and, the whole thing. And my desire to coach and to do what I am now doing was greater than staying there. So I took that leap. But what got me to understand, and this is really key, is that I created the abundance, me and my, energetic support team created the abundance that I have here. So if I've created that abundance here, the company is an avenue. It's not my source. This is a avenue through which my abundance comes. So I'm going to hold this level of abundance in my business. Now, I will tell you, on days when I didn't have clients calling, or days when I didn't know what to do, or days where I was totally scared, or like, oh, do I hire someone to do that? Or do I try to upload and download videos myself? That was, like making those decisions of all of it came back to when I felt my level of abundance. I created that level of abundance there. I can create it here too. It's understanding the thoughts and the words that are in lack, shifting those so that you can move back into that space of abundance.
Okay, it's time for Christy's Misfit 3. These are the 3 things that she wants you to take away that you can put in your life, your business, make a difference for yourself starting today. And the way that I always frame this to every guest that comes on the show, I say, hey, look, if you were going to leave this earth tomorrow and you could only leave behind your 3 best pieces of wisdom for the generations that come after you to help them live their best life, what would those 3 things be? So, Christy, what are your Misfit 3?
Well, first of all, Dave, I love this question, and this question kept me up at night, honestly, because I really took it to heart. And so, first of all, is that there are actually rules of the game. There are essential laws, law of attraction, law of sufficiency, abundance. There are actually 7 that I call the 7 essential laws, that when you know it, it's like going out and playing a baseball game. How successful would you be if you didn't know that you're supposed to run to first base and you run to third? You're going to be out. So it makes sense to learn the rules of the game, and understanding the universal laws is absolutely essential to that. My second one is that it's not an outside in universe. It's actually an inside out. Instead of that, when and then, when I get that, then I'll feel when, or then, that kind of projecting out. It's a choose it now. I choose to feel successful now and then, not the other way around. And the last and final thing I would say is that all of us have emotions, and all emotions are like keys on a piano. All the keys are important and they have value. So all of our emotions have value. And the important thing is that when we learn to have emotional intelligence, meaning have awareness of what we're feeling, we don't have to name it, go into like a story about it. We don't even have to describe it. Just having a moment of I'm off could be as general as that. Having that level of awareness and then being able to do something about it, like be able to manage those emotions. Those are the first two steps in emotional intelligence, is having that awareness and then being able to do something to manage. It makes life, no matter what you go through, much more manageable and enjoyable.
Christy, that's a great Misfit 3. I love that. Love all of that. Last one's really, really great too. If people do want to learn more about you, where should they go?
I'd have them go to watchyourwords.com. That way they'll be able to learn more about the words. You get value there, and, we'll go from there. So watchyourwords.com.
Excellent. We'll link to all of that in the show notes, the best show notes in the business, for reasons I will talk about more in a second. But first, for those of you that are new to the Misfit Entrepreneurs, your first episode with us, welcome. It's an honor to have you with us. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope you become a regular listener and watcher and subscriber all the time. For all of you that are with us week in and week out, I cannot thank you enough for your support of the show. You are what makes this go in over 100 countries every single week. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And go out and check out the show notes for this episode. They are the best in the business. Why? Because I do them myself as part of my personal growth routine. Each and every week, I go back through these episodes with amazing guests like Christy, and I take the best points that I'm seeing and tips and habits and tricks and wisdom, and I share that with you. So go out and check those out. And then go out and give this episode a rating and review. Like and comment on it. Help share Christy's message, because I say this in every episode. We all know one great episode can change someone's life. Maybe something that Christy shared today was that missing link you were looking for to get to your next level. So share this with others. And again, Christy, thank you so much for coming on, sharing all your wisdom and insight today.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thanks, everyone.